Hello, thank you for joining us today in the Peace Offering Kitchen. I have Jonathan with me today, and we are going to talk about protein. And so here we have a couple of different types of protein that we've laid out. This is chicken breast. This is a grass-fed New York strip. This is actually a blend. And I love to cook with this because it's a blend of ground beef, beef liver, and also beef heart. And so it's a great way for us to get organ meats into the diet without really tasting it, sneaking them in really. And this is filet of sole. And so Jonathan, would you be willing to talk to us about the different proteins?
Yeah, so there's really two things going on here. One is protein intake, and the other is micronutrient intake, so basically vitamins and minerals.
Okay. So I guess my first question is, why do we eat meat?
Meat is some of the most micronutrient dense food that humans can eat.
Okay.
And so that's why we've been eating meat and why we seek out meat. And basically, if you were in a tribal community and you had the choice between eating meat and eating something else, the other thing would be considered a meat substitute.
Sure.
It's just supreme when it comes to providing nutrition. And part of that nutrition is macronutrient nutrition in the form of protein. And then some of that nutrition is in the form of vitamins and minerals. And I think it's important to note that we do have protein requirements that we all should be trying to meet during the day. We're going to make another video about that, figuring out exactly what it is. But you know, the general formula is something around 0.7 grams per pound. So a 120-pound person, that looks like about 85 grams. And for a 185-pound person, that looks like 135 grams. So
could I ask you, I weigh about 120 pounds. How much protein should I eat in a day?
Yeah, so, well, let's just look on the back here. Okay. So that'd be about 85 grams for you.
Okay.
And so this is 4 servings of 22 grams. So
this whole packet.
Yes.
This is how much protein I should eat in a day. So, Jonathan, do you think that meat should be our primary source of protein?
Yeah, I think it should be the primary source of protein for a few reasons. There are many micronutrients in here that we need on a daily basis. And so I'll talk about that in a second. Other sources of protein beyond this are basically milk protein, and I like eating Greek yogurt, and also collagen sources of protein. And we have videos on both of those things, dairy and on collagen, so check that out and the reasons why. But to reference it to this, part of the reason why is that these foods are high in some amino acids that you don't want to get too much of. So it probably will represent 2/3 to 3/4 of your total daily protein.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and a quarter of that, we'll say a quarter to a third, will be coming from either milk or collagen sources.
All right.
And so just for reference here, you know, we figured out for you about 85 grams of protein is what you're aiming for in a day.
Okay.
Now, this is like not a strict number, okay? So we're talking like plus or minus 5-10 grams. But to give you an idea, that's the equivalent of a pound of ground beef or primal beef, you know, that has the included liver and heart, or say half a pound of this, and which is 8 ounces, and say 8 ounces of chicken. So that would get you there.
Because this has the same amount of protein in it as does the chicken?
Well, kind of. It's similar, but there's so much less fat here.
I see.
So if you look at the amount of protein per ounce, there's more in chicken than there is in this 80% protein blend.
Oh, I see.
Right, because it's 20% fat.
Okay.
And that's going to be much leaner, so there will be more protein in it. However, red meat has very high amounts of nutrients in it relative to chicken.
Okay. So
there's going to be a lot more B vitamins in here, and separately, I'll tell you about liver in a second because that's sort of an exception. It's a multivitamin on its own. But red meat has a lot of zinc, a lot of B vitamins, it has a lot of selenium, it has magnesium, it has potassium, it has almost everything.
Yeah.
Whereas chicken is probably the least has the least amount of micronutrients on the table here,
Right.
but is a very high protein source in the chicken breast form because it's so lean. Does that make sense?
Yes. So can you talk to me about the difference between skeletal meat and organ meats?
Yeah. So all organ meats sort of concentrate nutrients differently, and liver has the highest concentration of micronutrients in general. And so
Okay.
it really excels at folate,
Okay.
B12, copper, and vitamin A. Those are probably the primary ones, which, by the way, are all really important if somebody's anemic. So those are all of the building blocks you would need to make red blood cells and get iron. And also, it's a high iron source.
Okay.
So generally speaking, liver has higher amounts.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking at something like zinc, which is something we all need, steak or just regular old ground beef has more than liver does.
Okay.
So mixing them is a good idea.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so what makes fish different?
Like chicken, fish, the lean fishes, right? Like sole's an example of that. Cod would be an example of that. They're very high protein sources. There's not much fat on them, but they have slightly different mineral profiles.
All right.
So the ocean water animals have a lot of selenium, iodine, and some of these trace minerals that you won't see in the terrestrial animals.
Oh, okay. So they are an important component of this as well for getting trace minerals?
Yeah, for trace minerals, and we don't have some things on here that are also really good. Shellfish provides more of those trace minerals than, say, fish does.
Oh, okay. So you're telling me to eat crab?
Crab, definitely. Good stuff.
That's what I was hoping you'd say. If we are what we eat, are we what we eat? Is like what this chicken is eating important, what this fish or cow is eating important?
Yes, in some ways. For this purpose here, you can't really buy a meat that doesn't have fat in it. Okay?
Right.
So you have to consider what kind of fat is in that. And a ruminant animal is like a cow is going to have predominantly saturated and monounsaturated fat, very little polyunsaturated fat.
Okay.
But a monogastric animal like a chicken is you are eating what it eats in this case.
Okay.
Because a ruminant can convert a seed or a grain, the PUFA in that, into a saturated fat, but a chicken cannot.
I see.
So if a chicken is predominantly fed grains, its fat content is going to be represented by that grain.
Yes.
So it's going to be a higher PUFA fat. This is why we like a leaner cut of chicken here, like a breast.
And also why we only shop for pasture-raised chickens, because we do not want a vegetarian-fed chicken.
Right. And even better if you can raise them yourself.
That's right.
Right. And so the same rule applies to fish because the fat content in fish is predominantly PUFA also. So I prefer leaner cuts of fish rather than fattier cuts of fish, which is not typically what people think of as the good kind.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jonathan, for being here. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time in the Peace Offering Kitchen.